This is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's episode of the Passion to Profits podcast. Now, in today's podcast episode, I want to talk about the hidden pressure of success. Now, right now, you can be almost guaranteed that you want to be successful. You want to do well. You want your videos to be seen by thousands of people. You want your ebooks to sell well. You want to make money online. You want all the adoration. You want the followers. You want the fans. But would you be willing to accept that success? Now, your first immediate response is probably, yes, I could cope with that. I would love the money. I'd love the adoration. I'd love everything that comes with the success. But there is another part of your brain that is trying to keep you safe and that doesn't want you to be successful and will probably try and self-sabotage you on your journey to success. And that's what I want to cover in this podcast episode, is just making you aware of the dangers of success, because you're going to bump up against these things. And if you're not aware of them, if you're not aware of what's going on, well, then you will probably drop out or you'll probably self-sabotage yourself. Now, when it comes to the hidden pressure of success, you need to be aware of the fear of increased expectation. Now, could you attain success at a certain level, or would it overwhelm you? I want you to put yourself in the shoes of maybe a band who's just recorded their first album. You've released the album, it's gone out, and it has just took off. Everybody is singing your songs. You can't turn on a radio station, but the radio stations are playing your songs, and your albums are just selling like hotcakes. Now, your manager comes to you in maybe a year or so and says to you, well, I think it's time you go back into the recording studio and you record another album. Now, you're coming into the recording studio recording a second album, and you face this huge amount of success. Now, I want you to honestly think, how would you feel in that situation? Would you be worried that your second album wouldn't do as well? Do you feel that if it didn't do well, well, then people would look at you and say to you, well, you know, you were a one-hit wonder, that you didn't deserve that success that you got. It was just, you know, a simple just bit of fate. It was just absolute luck that that album sold well. So can you imagine the pressure that you would have on you going into album 2? And you might find sometimes that maybe some bands never actually go back and record a second album because they don't want to mess up what was already there. They don't want to mess up the perfection. It's easy just to drop out and say, well, we were, you know, the number one best-selling album all over the world. Rather than saying, well, we released a second album and it just didn't go anywhere and it done badly. And I want you to think about that. Like, when you are successful, it does put a lot of expectation on you. It does make you want to perform well. For example, if you recorded a video and the video done really well and it was your first video, imagine coming back on day 2 and recording a second video. Can you imagine the pressure you'd have on yourself, that you need to say the right things, that you need to have the right hook, that you need to just do whatever you need to do to get it out there? And that's only your second video. That's a lot of pressure. And you're going to find sometimes that as you are more successful, it puts more pressure on you, and you might find a point where you just feel overwhelmed and it just makes you want to drop out. Another thing you need to realize as well too is that when you're successful, sometimes it just makes us question ourselves. Sometimes we have that little voice that kicks in and says, do you deserve to be here? Am I good enough? And you might feel that when you're successful that people will realize that at some point that you don't deserve to be here. You know, if you had the huge following in social media and you see people who are more talented than you, who have more knowledge than you, who aren't doing as well, would that make you feel uncomfortable with the success that you have? And maybe even earning a lot of money. Would you feel comfortable earning all that money? Or would you feel that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve the cash, that there are other people out there in the world who are more talented than you, who deserve it far more than you? And you could find sometimes that imposter syndrome kicks in and it brings you down because you feel, well, I don't deserve to be here. You know, you start questioning, well, was it really, you know, just a toss of the dice? And that's why I'm here where I am, because there are people who are far better than me. And that questioning of yourself, of your deservingness, could possibly be something that will make you drop out because it feels like you don't deserve to have that success. So just think about that for a moment. If all the success was given to you right now, if you had the huge social media following, how would it feel? Would you feel deserving of having it, or would you self-sabotage? Another fear you're going to have when it comes to being successful is fear of losing it all. You know, you've got all this success, but what if it's taken away off you? You know, the success you have with all your videos. What if the platform that you're on takes all the videos away and you've lost your channel overnight? What if somebody else comes along and takes your audience away from you? You need to sometimes think about, success while we want it. Sometimes we have this fear and this other part of our brain that wants to keep us safe, that doesn't want us to be successful, because the more success we have, the more we have to lose. You could have that $1 million, but what if that $1 million taken off you? It's far safer not to have the $1 million than to have it and then to lose it. So be aware of that the more success you have, the more you have to lose. Again, when it comes to success, you find sometimes we kind of get on this treadmill where we're always trying to outdo ourselves. When you're successful with a video, well, that means that your second video needs to be better. You need to up the bar. And then you need to up the bar again and again and again. And really, when you think about it, there's only so many levels we can actually move up until we kind of reach a peak. So when it comes to doing the work that you do, will you be able to, or will you feel under pressure to always perform higher than where you are right now? And will that pressure to perform put pressure on you, overwhelm you, and then you just kind of walk away because you just kind of crumble under all the pressure? So be aware of that. Just as success kind of kicks in, will you get carried away? Will you always feel that you need to perform better? And will it kind of maybe, be attached to this imposter syndrome that you have, thinking to yourself, well, I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve to have this success. What I need to do is I need to work harder. I need to prove to myself and prove to the world that I deserve to be here. And then that puts a lot of pressure on you. So would you honestly be able to cope with that, with all that pressure? You need to realize as well too is that, you need to feel sometimes that the pressure that we have on ourselves from success makes us sometimes feel our fear of letting people down. If I'm only recording this video here and only 10 people are watching it, well then I'm not letting down many people. I'm not going to disappoint many people. At the most, I'll disappoint 10. Hopefully I won't disappoint the 10, but I'll probably disappoint 10 at most. But let's up the numbers a little bit. What if this video is watched by 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 500,000 people, 1 million people? Yeah, I'm sure you can see as the numbers go up, I'm suddenly starting to think to myself, well, if this video isn't a good video, I'm letting down more people. And you need to realize that too, that sometimes success kind of brings that baggage along with us, in that the more successful we are, the more we realize that, something, I'm going to let people down. If you were maybe a book author and you wrote a fiction book and the first book did really, really well, and then you come back with book 2, you have this kind of doubt in your head. Well, what if this book doesn't do as well? What if my readers don't like me as much as they did? What if it doesn't sell well? And you feel that you're letting your audience down because you're not giving them what they want to receive. So be aware of that too, that, that's another thing of success we don't really think about, is the pressure of letting people down. Our friends, sometimes our family, our followers, our readers, our customers, but we feel that if we don't get it right, we're letting everybody down. Another thing as well too is sometimes when you do actually break through this moment of struggle and you are successful, well then all that kind of struggle is taken away. And sometimes the things that actually keep us going in this kind of building a business and wanting to be successful is a journey we're on, is the constant struggle that we're in, that we're always kind of constantly trying to fight to get more viewers or more email subscribers or get more customers or make more money. So it's kind of struggling along, kind of going along, almost like Rocky when he's out running around in his torn up tracksuit. But then you find then when you've got the success, all that's gone. And then you're kind of looking around and you're freewheeling and you're thinking to yourself, well, this doesn't feel right, because it used to be a struggle up to this point. But now that everybody knows me, now that the money's coming to me, it doesn't seem like it used to. It seems like I should have a struggle here. And now that I don't have a struggle anymore, it doesn't feel right. I don't feel I should be here, that everything should be a struggle. So be aware of that as well too, that when you do break through whatever your success is, when all that's taken off you, all the struggle, all the fighting, all the pressure, all the kind of work that you put in, when you don't need to do that anymore, sometimes it's hard for us to kind of accept that it's easy street from now on. It might feel right now, where you are, that yes, you'd love to be an easy street. You'd love to have all that success. But sometimes that pressure and everything we're going through right now makes this journey more enjoyable. And when that's taken away from us, well then sometimes when we actually get to that end goal, sometimes it's a bit of a, anticlimax, because all that struggle has been taken off us, that we finally succeeded. And sometimes you need to find another harder goal to get into another journey of struggle, because we kind of feel better about ourselves because we need to struggle to get to the second point. So be aware of that when you get through those successful moments, it could be a little bit of a letdown because all that pressure and all that work is no longer there anymore. You need to realize as well too is that new success is going to require new skills. Wherever you are right now, say you're a beginner, when you reach this level of success, at this point, you're going to have to develop new skills. You're going to have to develop new knowledge to get through the next phase until you're successful. So be aware that as you go through the different levels of being successful, you need to become a different person. You need to become a person probably who steps further outside their comfort zone, who needs to read more, who needs to learn more, who needs to develop more courage, maybe more skills to get through the different levels of success. So are you willing to put the work in, or are you just, you don't want to put the work in? Well, then maybe it's time to drop out now, because these levels of success is going to require a bigger commitment of you. So are you willing to put that commitment in? Are you willing to put the work in? Are you willing to step further outside your comfort zone to reach the next level of success? Again, what about public scrutiny? Do you ever see that when maybe a struggling actor is, going through their little journey, not being successful, they're not really a target to anyone, and then all of a sudden then when they reach a certain level, they're the darling of the newspapers. Everybody loves them, all the tabloids are talking about them, they're the next best thing, the greatest actor, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And then a couple of years down the line, as they are more successful, all of a sudden then the tabloids turn on them and they try to bring them down, and they try to criticize them, they try to get all the dirt on them, and they want to pull the rug out from under them. And you're going to find out as well too that your success is going to involve you gathering haters, and people who will hate what you do, who will hate you, who will hate the success that you have, who will feel that you don't deserve to be where you are, and let's bring you down. So are you willing to put up with that? Because that will be another part of your success, will be those people who don't like you the more successful you are. And each time you get more and more successful, you can be guaranteed you're gonna draw a bigger crowd to you. So remember that as well too. Public scrutiny is going to come up against you. You're going to find that when you do put videos up, you're probably going to find more nasty comments underneath your content. You're going to find things said about you. You're going to find people who are going to try and copy you, who try to, bring you down. So be aware of that. That is another pressure of success that you're probably not even thinking about right now. And that is people just turning on you for the sole reason that you're successful. And again, you need to think about that when you maybe reach your success, whatever your success is. Maybe you wanted to maybe earn $1 million. And maybe when you reach that point of earning the $1 million, which is fantastic and getting there, but then you find yourself saying, well, something, I dedicated the last couple of years to earning $1 million. And now that I'm here, it seems like it's an empty goal, that I should have maybe focused on something better. The last 5 years, I should have done something more wholesome, something that would, when I look back on, that, I can say I made a difference in the world. And right now, maybe you might have the cash, but it doesn't mean anything to you. And you might find sometimes as you're going through that, right now, this $1 million or whatever it is, could be maybe the successful goal. But when you actually reach that, you might question where you are right now, and then you might find that maybe that goal doesn't interest you anymore, or maybe you might resent what you've done because you probably look back and say, well, I should have done all those different things. Those were more of a worthy goal than going after the money. So be aware, while we want the success, while we want all the money, we want the followers and all that, there is some hidden pressure that's going to come up. And you will find that hidden pressure sometimes will self-sabotage you. So hopefully today's podcast episode has maybe uncovered some of the things that you could bump up. Things like questioning yourself. You deserve this success. Of this kind of having to up the bar. Of always trying to be better. Of maybe more critics being attracted towards you. You're going to face all that. So be aware of that, and hopefully I do wish you have all the success that you are looking to go after, but be aware that success is going to involve some pressure. So hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you have any comments or if you have any opinions at all, please feel free to leave them below this video. And if you go to the links in this podcast episode, you will find that we do have a Kindle book series that is based on these podcast episodes. And probably over the next couple of days, we will probably have a Kindle book based on this episode here of The Pressures of Success. So as always, have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.